Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers, sovereign thinkers. Thank you for tuning in to the LO3 podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida. And today's date is Saturday, December 5th, 2020. Yes, and not bad little day out here. People are on their boats along the New River. And just doing their weekend routines, I would say. So it's all well and good, and I'm just mellowed out as usual, and just try to do a little job hunting as well. Just doing some applications, about technology. You could probably do a lot more instead of running around all day. I gotta do a little more hopping around as usual. So I'm at least focus on my property. So that's my main objective to my cause. However, I got a couple articles I'm going to be reading here, and mainly this is going to be entitled Electoral College Deadlines and NYU Professor Under Fire. All right, well, we're just going to, start it off there. And this one's entitled, of course, came out today. It's because Electoral College Deadlines Not Set in Stone and Election Integrity Watchdog. So what they have to say about this is by Tom Ozimek, and as it reads here, Election Integrity Watchdog said the current Electoral College deadlines not only have zero constitutional basis, but are preventing states from fulfilling their legal and ethical obligations to ensure free and fair elections. The Amistad Project of the nonpartisan Thomas More Society released a study on Friday, making the case that the only constitutionally set date in the election process is January 20th, when the next president of the United States will be sworn in, which is the 20th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, to be exact. So, I look into that. I listen to other people and network, and we share information all the time. So I can thank those folks for clarifying that. All right, and so when it says here, all other dates, including safe harbor deadline, the Electoral College vote on December 14th, and even the congressional vote count on January 6th, are dates set by federal law, which the paper argues are arbitrary and founded on obsolete concerns. Experts believe that the primary basis for these dates was to provide enough time to effect the presidential transition power, a concern which is fully obsolete in the age of internet and air travel, the Amistad Project said in the press release. First of these dates, the so-called safe harbor deadline is pursuant to federal law. It's Title 3, U.S. Code Section 5, and is understood for a state from further contest of election challenges if it settles legal disputes and certifies its results at least 6 days before the D.C. 14 Electoral College meeting. The Armistead Project called Electoral College deadlines both arbitrary and direct impediment to states' obligations to investigate disputed elections, while the research paper argued for the deadlines to be overlooked if needed in the broader interest of thoroughly investigating allegations of voter fraud. The view presented in the paper lines up with remarks made by attorney Sidney Powell, who has spearheaded various election-related legal challenges in the battleground states, bringing forward a growing body of evidence in support of claims of widespread voter fraud in the 2020 election. With the voter fraud case, the December 8th deadline doesn't apply, Powell told Newsmax in an interview Friday, adding, "We're at least until December 14th. We might file more suits," she said, adding that the suits she and other allies of President Donald Trump have been filing are not pure elections contests. These are massive fraud suits that can set aside the results of the election due to this fraud at any time, she said, adding the states should not be certifying election results in the face of it. The Amistad Project has also filed litigation in several key swing states, arguing that legal actions on the part of state and local officials led to more than 1.2 million potentially fraudulent ballots. Through a rigorous investigation supporting our litigation, we demonstrate that the state and local officials brazenly violated election laws in several swing states in order to advance a partisan political agenda, said Phil Klein, director of the Amistad Project. In a statement, as a result, it is impossible for those states to determine their presidential electors in line with the arbitrary deadline set forth via federal statute 1948. Thus, the only deadline that matters is January 20th, 2021. This go all the way to that, even from January 6th and beyond, okay? So it'll be very interesting what we're seeing, folks. So don't be shell-shocked, all right, if this occurs. So steps relating to certification and appointment of presidential electors are often regarded as formalities and, as such, have drawn the little public interest, but the mechanics of electing a U.S. president have drawn new scrutiny this year as Trump and his allies continue to pursue legal strategies attempting to prove the results were fraudulent. The results of the Electoral College vote are due to be received and typically approved by Congress on January 6th, although lawmakers can object accepting the electors' votes. The Democratic-controlled House and Republican-controlled Senate will both vote separately to resolve any disputes. One has already arisen from Pennsylvania, where the 75 Republican lawmakers signed a statement on Friday urging Congress to block the state's electoral votes from being cast for Democratic nominee Joe Biden. Okay, the Trump legal team has pursued numerous legal challenges while continuing to collect evidence in support of allegations of malfeasance. One of the strategies pursued by the Trump team has been call on Republican state legislators to appoint a rival set of electors pledged to Trump. This tactic suffered a setback in the battleground state of Arizona on Friday, with the state's Republican Speaker of the House of Representatives saying that calls to overturn certified results of the presidential election are not lawful and will not happen. According to federal law, both chambers of Congress would need to vote to accept a completing slate of electors. If they don't, the electors appointed by the state's governors must be used. After the Electoral College casts its votes, the last remaining move to block the election will be an effort to vote down the electors in Congress. This tactic has been attempted before when a handful of congressional Democrats in 2000, 2004, and 2016 objective to officially making both George W. Bush and Trump president. Their numbers were not enough to block the two men from taking office. The Amistad Project in the white paper argues that there is a significant flexibility in precedent in U.S. law for changing the date and electors are appointed. Changing the date electors convene to vote and changing the dates electors have their vote certified by Congress. All right, so this is really some interesting stuff here, which, if acted upon, could provide more runway than the current deadline suggests for Trump to prove his case of election fraud. For the sake of American democracy and to strengthen our fraying social fabric, it is preferably to address the fraud issues before determining who is the next president. The Amistad Project note in the paper adding that rigorous fraud investigations will continue past Inauguration Day. The paper called on Biden and his allies to welcome such a probe. Otherwise, a dark cloud will hang over the Biden administration if it becomes clear his election was illegitimate and the socio-political fragmentation that is occurring in the United States will only worsen. And, of course, the Associated Press contributed to his report. So you have to always, going to be very interesting last 2 months, I would say, December and January, okay? So just hang on to your seats, grab your popcorn, and take down notes, my friends, because what you're going to be witnessing, if you're alive, you're going to witness this, you can write all this down and share this to your kids or younger people in due time, in the very near future. But, hey, even the whole thing with Federalist Paper 68 explains the Electoral College vote for the president anyway. So all you gotta do is read, don't listen to the garbage media. You know how these dingleberries want you to think, be emotional, be angry, fear, etc. So what you gotta say about that, right? Interesting times, my friend. So we're gonna do one more here. And this one came from the Activist Post, came out yesterday. And of course, he'd been banned from PayPal, and which is not really that dandy, to be very frank. NYU professor under fire for mass comments, files libel lawsuit. And this is by Janet Phelan. And it says here, a NYU professor has filed a lawsuit against a number of academic colleagues alleging libel after an uproar of official reaction ensued when one of his students called for his firing brief. And I think I messed up here. Shoot. One moment, folks. I think I goofed here. Yeah, hit the wrong button and bam, right? Okay, no. All right. Sorry about that. And reaction of the students called his firing based on the class comments he had made on the utility of masks. Oh my goodness! All these sensitive people, Orwellian snowflakes on parade, right? The pleadings filed in the Supreme Court of the state of New York on November 30th, 2020, stated that the letter signed by 19 of Professor Mark Crispin Miller's academic colleagues included numerous misstatements of fact, malicious intent, intended to portray himself as in a negative light, and intended to diminish, if not destroy, his professional reputation and standing. In the modern-day rendition of the silencing of Socrates, the furor surrounding Professor Miller began shortly into his semester at New York University. Miller has for many years taught a course on propaganda in the Department of Media, Culture, and Communication, in which he discusses current events and historical trends in the light of their propaganda purposes. This semester, he stated he had encouraged students to research the scientific utility of masks. Nothing wrong with that. See, I can relate to this, to his position when it comes to the propaganda machine in the media. They put out the story. How accurate is it? How much merit does it have? It's nothing wrong with that. You always got to question these things. And some of these folks right now, what I read so far, are a little bit sensitive. I'll continue on here. One student took public issue with Miller's mass comments and launched a Twitter campaign against him, stating he was spouting dangerous rhetoric that serves to cultivate fear and confusion during a pandemic, and called for his firing. Julia Jackson. Okay, and I see what happened, because the professor has a sign has a picket sign that goes 9/11 was an inside job. So Julia Jackson is pretty sensitive on this, right? Oh, absolutely. It's from The Observer, because she talks about this from The Observer, and when he's spouting dangerous rhetoric that serves to cultivate during the pandemic. And of course says that she has a reaction here. I hope and agree that this professor should not be trusted in educating and advising students, and I hope they can take immediate steps to relieve him from these duties. Yeah, she probably wants a yes person, a zombie, and a robot for all I know, right? First, this department chair, Rodney Benson, tweeted his thanks and saying, "We, as a department, have made this as a priority and are discussing our next steps." At that point, the university decimated the cautionary email to Miller students, which he states was sent out prior to any conference or consultation. as to the veracity of Jackson's claim. According to Miller, Department Chair Benson then pressured him to cancel the propaganda course for next semester. Well, hey, he says, oh, if you got, so what's that mean? You gonna ban all books pertaining to Edward Bernays as well? Good grief. So I'm gonna continue on here. A month later, the letter from Miller's colleagues condemning Miller's actions was sent to Dean Jack Knott and to Provost Catherine Fleming. And Miller became the subject of a review board hearing. Professor Miller's political activities and viewpoints have sparked prior attention from NYU, an effort spearheaded by Miller to stop a physical expansion by NYU ended up in court. Several years ago, he also named plaintiff in a class action suit concerning NYU's mismanagement of the faculty's retirement plans. Earlier this year, Miller was called in to the Office of Equal Opportunity to explain some comments that he had made in articles concerning transgender politics, including this one. Miller has unequivocally stated that he bears no animus towards transgender individuals and that his comments reflected concerns that the transgender movement had eugenics implications. He was quickly exonerated by the OEO concerning these statements. Interestingly, the letter from the NYU colleagues to the university tries to resurrect these concerns and states that Miller has engaged in direct mockery and ridicule of trans individuals, as well as discrimination, and that he has created an unsafe learning environment, while paradoxically stating their support for academic freedom. The singer of this letter, all of whom are academics, call on Steinhardt and university leadership to publicly support the NYU community and undertake an expedient review as per the faculty handbook in Title IV of the professors. Miller's intimidation tactics, abuses of authority, aggression and microaggression, and explicit hate speech, none of which are accused by academic freedom and First Amendment protections. Curiously, the letter gives no concrete examples to support these allegations. Miller's situation seemed to reflect a mounting campaign of political correctness which is taking place on a number of fronts. The contempt of the university as a stronghold of free speech and inquiry seems to have fallen under the sword of specific political imperatives. In a recent conversation with this reporter, Miller has to say, "What I'm going through, my experience at NYU is just one example of ever worsening wave of censorship that actually began decades ago with the Kennedy assassination, when questioning the official story was taboo. Anyone who attempted to investigate it, honestly, was dismissed as a conspiracy theorist." Remember, a theory has merit, folks. Okay? It has merit. It's not assumption or maybe some guessing, but it does have merit. But it's not being hypothetical. Okay? So these folks, sometimes even these knuckleheads try to use these terms on certain people, don't even know what the hell it means. All right? The tactic has been used more and more through the years to shut down inquiry into two major scandals of all kinds. This trend has been worsened by political correctness prohibiting debate over many other important topics, from climate change to transgender medicine to BLM and Antifa. This year has seen the culmination of those trends, along with iron censorship, all of the divergence from the official story of COVID-19. Any deviation from that narrative is instantly attacked as misinformation, even dangerous misinformation, and blacked out. All three trends are apparent in my plight at NYU. First, I was publicly attacked for suggesting that my propaganda class read scientific articles about the effectiveness of masks, and then my colleagues piled on, accusing me of both promoting conspiracy theories in my class of explicit hate speech against transgender people. Those three propaganda cliches have the same purpose: to inhibit critical inquiry into propaganda narratives that serve some very powerful interests. The ability to question underlying societal percepts has always been considered nearly sacrosanct inside the ivy-covered walls of higher learning. Following the 9/11, a slew of professors were fired to put on an academic leave due to their public comments about those events, including Stephen Jones, Ward Churchill, and Sami al-Arian. A petition has been launched concerning Professor Miller and academic freedom, signed by 18,000 people to date, including such luminaries as journalist Seymour Hersh, filmmaker Oliver Stone, Robert F. Kennedy, and Chinese dissident Chen Gancheng. The petition states the relevance of Miller's case. We see the situation, but as one example of a growing global trend toward rigid censorship of expert views of urgent subjects of all kinds. So this petition is not just in his defense, but a protest on behalf of all professors, doctors, scientists, and journalists who have been gagged or punished for their rights to freely research, study, and interpret data on a variety of matters regardless of their controversial nature. And you can sign a petition, okay, on this site. Miller's lawsuit asked for the compensatory and punitive damage totaling $750,000. Jack Knott, Dean of the Steiner School of Culture, Education, Health Development at NYU, did not respond to the queries by this reporter. Mark Crispin Miller is the author of a number of books who has been a recipient of fellowship from the Rockefeller, Guggenheim, and Ingram Merrill Foundations. He has taught at NYU since 1997. So, if you get offended, we should all revolve around you. You don't want to question authority? Go back to your rock. Don't contaminate space. Leave your infections where it belongs, under a rock. This political correctness culture, cancel culture, are nothing more than catering to Orwellian snowflakes, including the ones that are trying to call out Mr. Miller based on this article. Those are the areas we got to look at. Free speech is more important than your feelings. If you don't like it, pack your crap and leave. My constitutional republic. There's plenty of places to go. You can be censored, be told what to do. Not more a bunch of New World Order shills, as far as I'm concerned. Uncle Tom's and Angel Mamas to the globalist. And I say that ethically. I said, if Mr. Miller has his merits, fight every step of the way. And I encourage everyone to petition this. If you take away free speech from one person, yours can be next. Natural rights. All right? If these drones, zombies, peasants don't like it, go somewhere else. That's it. Plain and simple. All right, folks, that will be it. Plus, feel free to download and share us throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, if you send something interesting you want to check out, whatever you do, please send your correspondence to decorum. Furthermore, I will leave these footnotes on my Spreaker page. Plus, if you want to contact me, you can hit me at LokiLuck3@gmail.com or LokiLuck03@protonmail.com. And if you want to do contributions, you can hit me at paypal.me/LokiLuck3. And I encourage folks to send some love and send some financial support to the Epoch Times and Activist Post. They're doing a real good job on what they're doing, and I enjoy all these alternative sites because it gives me a bigger, clearer picture. Okay, so that's how I see it. Because remember the article I read yesterday, with that one article from Miami Herald. It's like Drama Queen 101. I don't want to hear drama. I want all the factual information, and I'll take it from there. Everyone should too. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love. May your guardian spirits be with you.